Hi friends, welcome to iShow's DIY. Today we will design a necklace using Sam's Bead box subscription for the month of May 2023. I just pulled this out from the box. So there is blues, purples, and I just took the purple and gold with the citrine. And I have all of these beads to work with. And I thought I will use this also, but in the mix, but I'm not so sure. And these are the beads, so I want to just show you guys the strands that I am trying to work with here. So I took two colors, one strong dark purple color and the one which is golden color. So these two colors are the ones that I took. Now I'm trying to work with each strand. So this one is also there. So I'm just going to think how I'm gonna design this, but first of all let's get this organized. So we have so many different this paint splattered kind of beads also, which is a little bit milky white, and we have a matching 8mm strand in the box as well. So I'm thinking we can just mix purple and this cream and this golden color. That should suffice for the necklace. But I'm just gonna cut this first, this strand first. So that's one for us, and we have that here. Okay, and then we will have the melon strands also for our project. It's gonna be a big project, that's for sure. It's gonna be like a showstopper kind of a project. So one big project is what I'm aiming for. So I'm also taking these as well as these are 8mm, so we can use that. We can even use this has like a purple tinge to it, the AB finish, so that will also be useful. So as these daisy spacer beads. And so we have all of this. I didn't open this purple because I might not use it, is what I'm thinking. This one though, we have a small bead in between two which I want to save for our project. So these ones as well. Now that we have everything ready, now we can start designing. First I wanted to do a a necklace. It's not a long one, it's like mid-length, and with this big pendant. And I'm thinking of not using this one because it's a little bit sideways. Maybe I have to use this one, but mine is varied in size. This is thinner and this is heavier. So if I'm doing a long necklace, I would use a thinner one, and then if I'm doing a shorter necklace, it's okay to have a bulkier one, heavier one also, right? It's also heavy. So the thing is, either I can work with one strand on one side, three strands on the other, or like a little bit above the mid-length one strand in a round fashion, and then a long necklace in this fashion. So that's what I'm thinking. Let's see. That means I'm gonna be wire working the longer strand, and the inner strand probably I will do it with bead stringing wire. So we will design anyways the focal. If I'm going to use the long strand, I'm going to use this one, right? So I'm just going to use this focal. First we will design the focal and then go from there. So we need gold tone wire for this, and I'll be back. I have here 20 gauge para wire in gold color. So this is 20 gauge, so I'm just straightening it out with my nylon jaw pliers, just like that. And then we have to cut, so I'm just going to add this here and see how much I need. So this much I can take is what I'm thinking. Let me take my wire cutters and cut this wire off. Let me measure this for you guys, how much wire I have taken, like about say 4¼ inches. Okay, that's what we have here. Then what I'm gonna do here is, anyways, just gonna make a small, maybe we can have a swirl, but no. So just make a small loop at one end. Take your tweezers pliers and just bend this wire into a U form and make yourself a hairpin. This is a bigger hairpin, right? Since this bead is a longer bead, we are using a 4-inch hairpin. See this? It's still sometimes at some angle it went inside. See that it goes inside. So we need a little bit bigger loop, or maybe we can add something here, and maybe this bead right here. Yeah, it looks good. So now the smaller loop would suffice. So there we go. Now it's fine, no problems whatsoever. You can even squish this loop. Okay, now we can try adding the flower on the top. So we're figuring it out, right? So not this flower, probably this flower. Maybe another daisy. I like it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold this bow. I'm just going to bend this way. I'm gonna make a big wrap loop because I really like wrap loops a lot, and also I feel safer to add a pendant than to this bigger pendant. So make a loop which is not so small, just a little bit bigger, because we don't want it to be very small either. At the same time, we don't want it to be very long either. So about say this size is good enough. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pliers and then hold the tip of this tail and then wrap it around. See how I wrap it? That way the wraps will be consistent and tight. I can do it with my hands too, but this way it comes out a bit better. Once you have the necessary wraps, a short tail, then you can go ahead and tuck it down. There we go. Our wrap loop is done. 4 inches of wire is sufficient to do this pendant, and I like it. That's it and done. Okay, and then if this loop, I need this loop to be attached to something else. So maybe this suit too much flowers, right? So maybe this one would suffice if we are using this, or this one. But I think this much distance is fine. Maybe this guy right here. It's way too big, so I'm not going to use that. Maybe one of the nuggets, the biggest of the nuggets, would suffice, I guess. Maybe the round nugget, or this one right here, the elongated one. I think this one is very, very pretty. So I have here 24 gauge wire. You can also use 22. I wouldn't suggest going 26 or so. 24 itself, I don't have anything in this gold color. There's a different gold tones when it comes to wires. See this? It's a pretty light gold color, wherein these are a different gold color. So try to use the one which is similar throughout the entire project. So since I have used this color, this is the closest I have in a thinner gauge. So as the gauge goes, the number goes up, thinner the gauge goes, right? So 20 gauge will be thicker than 24. So now I want this to be attached to this. Maybe not. I'm thinking. So I don't want this to be longer. So we can try figuring it out a pattern. So if I'm doing a pattern, say like that, this one is more rounded. Okay. But you cannot predict the shape of these nuggets. These will be definitely different from each other. It will not be similar. We have 4 here and 5 here and 4 here, so we need to take one off. So I will take this round one off and use all the elongated ones. So if I'm doing that, so I need purples, so I will add a purple in between, maybe not. So I'm just going to do some purples here. Yeah, it's not a completely asymmetrical necklace that I'm trying to do. Trying to do both. Okay. Maybe this part is a little bit too purpley, right? But that's okay. So like this. I'm thinking whether to use wire wrapped ones. If I'm doing wire wrapped, needs to be all maybe not. Okay, so this is how I want this to proceed, maybe, right? Or we can try one side like this and one side in a different way. So we can add here, I mean, 2 beads in here, and this one in here. Next to the purple, the white looks good, so that's what we want. So only when you keep it and see, you can actually get an idea of how it'll look. So we can actually do that as well here. And in the innermost strand also we need to use all of these beads. So just we have to keep in mind we don't have that much of these purple drug beads. So if I do this design, then this, I really like this one better than this, so I'm just going to shift to that. So there comes the oval bead. There comes the oval bead as well, right? So this is going to be the pattern, and if I choose this pattern, okay, I'm doing this, then furthermore I have to use, I have two more, so I can do one more of these over here as well. And the rest, in the inner strands, what I will do here is take bead stringing wire. I'm gonna take this 19 strand gold bead stringing wire and figure out the inner pattern, right? The inner pattern I'm just gonna design from the center, okay? Because these briolets are small, we can't have a big bead in the middle, right? So these briolets have to be separated by a purple, I think purple flower maybe. No, maybe this strand will also make sense. Now so maybe this one right here. Still there is gap, if you guys can see. You can still see the one purple, 4mm, then a daisy, then a briolet, then a daisy, then a purple, and see how it looks. So this kind of looks good, but it has to be like this, you mean what I say? If it is this, then only by having it tight we can achieve the effect, or else it will be like this, as you guys can see. Yes. If we do this, then it's gonna be, I will figure out a pattern and come back so that you guys get an idea now how I design these stuff. So maybe not this, maybe this. All you need to do is, we are mixing 2 or 3 colors per se in this, so we need to have all colors even through the work. So I'm trying to do justice for that. Hi friends, welcome back. So this is what I have achieved so far. So how did I do this is by wrap loops and 2 jump rings. So the center, since I have already finished this loop and I don't want to spoil this teeny tiny wrap loop that I'm making, and I want this to flow really nicely. And also in future, if you don't want this necklace to have a pendant, you can remove this pendant with just taking off this 2 jump rings and then connecting it to the next link and then going forward. So all I did was I took 2 jump rings, and I always like to use 2 pliers whenever I'm closing and opening a jump ring. I like to use my bent nose pliers and twister nose pliers. I already prepped this jump ring. It is a thin gauge jump ring, so I wanted to use 2. Otherwise, if you're using a thicker gauge, you can get okay with just one jump ring. That's good enough. So if you have to twist the jump ring back and forth just like this, and just make these ends meet flush. So you twist back and forth, never pull it this way. So I take the 6mm, I work with 24 gauge. You can work, if you have 23 2 gauge, I would suggest that. That's much better than 24, but 24 will work too perfectly. So I like to work with a spool, but if you want to cut your wire, you can cut about say 1.5 inches, and then do your wrap loops. I like to work with the spool, so take it about say here. I will just bend my wire, reposition my wire this way, and then bend it again here to make a loop. Okay, smallest loop possible. So I just push this a little bit back, more than the 90 degrees, as you guys can see, and then if I bring it, it comes out perfectly, right? And then it covers the wire very nicely. It wraps around the wire nicely. You can twist it with your fingers, you can twist it with your pliers, however you want to do. This short tail, I want to tuck it down, so I used 3 coils for the wrap loops. You can use as less as 1 coil around the wire, or 2, however you prefer. So I like to do 3 loops, as you guys can see here, then push my bead all the way here, and at this point I can cut it, or what I can do here is take my pliers and just keep it like that, bend the wire and bring it around. I know it comes out of the spool, but make a loop. Once you make a loop, and then cut yourself here about say over there, that should be good enough. Now you hold this here, and then as I said, go a little bit backwards and then come back and then wrap it. If you have a little bit longer of a wire, you will have a perfect way to wrap your wire, because you still have that leeway of wire to actually wrap it around. The other side I had shorter, so I had to suffer a little bit. But if you are okay with wasting a little bit more wire, then I would suggest doing that when you're doing initially, for the wrapped wire to come out perfectly. And then tuck that tail in. We have our wrapped bead. So now what I did was I took my pliers and opened up the jump ring like that. Add the jump rings to this pendant and to our wrap loop, just like that, and then go ahead and close. Go back and forth and make sure they're completely flush against each other. Then let's do one more jump ring to be on the safer side, since it appears to be a thinner wire. So again, the same loop and our finding, and then close that loop shut, close the jump ring shut. There we go. So I have connected these, the purple bead. Now the next one is going to be this. Added the daisy spaces to create a little bit more interest. I really like that look of it, so I'm just going to add this one, the oval bead, the daisy spacer. See, about say here, this should be good enough. Let me just measure this and say how long you want your wire to be. 2 inches. Yeah, if you cut your wire, pre-cut your wire for 2 inches, you can do that as well. Then you can pre-cut a bunch of wire for 2 inches for this, and probably 1.5 inch for the purple one, because this one is longer, so it takes longer wire. You keep in mind that. Then I guess also has a different size, so you should keep that in mind as well. But the standard size can be a 2 inches. So about say 1/3 of this wire, bend the wire and then make a loop. Okay, then maybe I took too little wire. Okay, Now I always be conservative in the start, and then I will have more than to work with at that end. So I'm just going to tuck the tail in because I want 3 wraps around the wire. That also depends upon you. You don't have to have 3 wraps. Slowly tuck that in. When you are not working with the beads, it's a little bit easier to do all of these than with the beads. So if you pre-cut your wire and work with it, it also has its benefits. Once you tuck that in, then add all of your beads. You can stack these beads or you don't have to have all of these beads, just the oval bead is also good enough. Place it here, bend your wire, reposition 90 degrees and bring it around. Okay, and then here we go. I want both the loops to be parallel. So now before closing it, I should make sure that I add it to this chain, because we are not adding jump rings in between the wire wraps. So I'm just going to add before I start wrapping this side. I'm using my fingers because 24 gauge is really forgiving. And once you have that, you can either snip that off or you can tuck the tail in. It's totally up to you. I'm gonna snip it off just a tad bit and then tuck that short tail in for a smoother finish. So this is how I started making our beaded wrap loop chain. It is coming out very pretty. It takes a little bit time, but I feel that it's much more worth it, is what I feel. So I will continue doing this and I'll come back and show you guys how we can finish this off. You can make this as long as you want, and once I run out of this, because we have only I think 6 of these, maybe 6 or 5, I don't know, we have only that much. I have one more which I closed both the ends. See, if you do that, so both the ends, the purple bead that you're connecting has to be open so that you can do that. So we have 3 of these and 4. So we had only 5, I guess. So I need to, only do 2 and then use these, or okay, I can use it here if I want to. Yeah, I'm gonna use here and then continue that after that. That would be nice. So we can incorporate this elongated bead as well here. Okay, hi friends, welcome back. So I finished, actually I'll show you guys one by one, might be crowded here. So I finished this big one by continuing the pattern. So as we have decided, the purple, then this oval bead, purple citrine nugget, and then what I did was, instead of this oval, I used this elongated ones as well, and then continued the pattern, and then the oval came and the elongated came. Once I'm done with the purple beads, then I just shifted between the melon beads and the 8mm sprayed paint beads. What do you call them? I don't know. So I did that. It's really long. Let me measure this for you guys. So it is 12. It's almost 15 inches long. Okay, without the pendant. So 15 inches on both sides. That will give the necklace 30 inch, and we are going to add clasp, so that will add some space. So this is the outer strand, and I'm gonna do an inner strand. So inner strand, I use the 19 strand bead stringing wire from Bead in gold color. It's 0.018 inch thickness, and I used those, and then I strung a pattern. The pattern consists of the 8mm sprayed beads, the melon beads with glass 11 seed beads, and this 4mm purple bead. The 11 seed beads came from this mix, Wonderland mix, Sam's Bead Box Wonderland mix that we got last week. So it's a mix with gold, black, gunmetal, green, and red. So olive green and red, and I just used the gold ones for this, and I continued that for some time, and then I used the flower beads, and then the center pattern we already decided. I showed you guys how I'm gonna do that. I didn't change that pattern, so I still have that, and then I continued with the pattern that I showed you guys. So this is what it is. Okay, so this is what we are making, so you can see clearly. Sometimes I have some comments that I don't show the finished product enough. I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize it. I had to be told. Thank you so much for that. But I'll show you guys the finished product more. And now that this we have strung, I'm working with a spool. I didn't cut the wire yet, but I'm comfortable with this length and this design. I really like it. So this and this will pair very well. If you want, you can wear it separately. If you want to make a statement, you can wear both at a time. It's totally up to us. So I'm just gonna finish this off with some big lobster claw, because you can also use toggle clasp. You don't have to use lobster claw, but we can use lobster claw as well. So I'm just using 2 different lobster claws just to finish it off, because I'm just going to use the gold one. So this is a bigger jump ring that I have in 18 gauge. I can use that, and I can use one more for the inner circle. Let me see if I still have those beads that I'm looking for. Looking for a closed jump ring if possible, because I always fear that this would not be safe. So in my case, I'm just gonna think what I can do to I can actually make a clasp, like not a clasp per se, with the 20 gauge wire that we created the pendant with. We can do one more in the back is what I'm thinking. Just straighten the 20 gauge wire and just take your round nose pliers, okay, and bend it to 90 degrees. We are going to make a wrapped loop, so just that, okay. So try to close this loop. 2 wraps is good enough. I'm tucking the tail in. Okay. Say about an inch and a half flush cut. So this is the flush cut side, this is a curved side. So we have the loop here, so we can attach the crimp to this loop. And then for this one, what I want to do is I want to add some purple, just one purple bead, that's good enough. So put your round nose pliers here, bend it at 90 degrees, reposition your pliers. So now we have this. Just put it in a bigger mandrel setting, like so that we can clasp our lobster claw there. Just not a very large hole, but a big enough loop for our lobster claw to clasp, just like that. Then you take it off, use your pliers to hold it, and then go slightly above and then bend it. When you bend it, then it will come perfectly for you to wrap it around the stem part. So now you take your pliers, because it's short, you can tuck that tail in without cutting it off, because we still have space, right? So then you can straighten that out, and now we have this. Okay, and this can be a clasp for our lobster claw, just like that. We can do the same for both sides, but we can also do a big jump ring. The jump ring, the color of this wire is a little bit off, right? So that's the only issue for me. If not, I would have used that. So I'm thinking of using the same for the other one too. But instead of putting this purple bead, what we can do is we can add one of this bead. So let's do that. So straighten your wire. You can do it with your nylon jaw pliers or your fingers. Your fingers, if you run your fingers a couple of times in the wire, the heat from your body actually straightens that up. See, nice and straight. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pop this here. Okay, I'm just gonna do the bigger loop. We can also do the bigger loop with let me see, what do I have here? The step looping pliers. This is from BB Craft, so we can do it with that. So the mandrel size you can choose this one. This is the second largest one, so I'm just gonna add it here, and then just make it like that. Take the short tail. You can use your pliers to wrap around so that the wraps will be nice and tight, because thicker the gauge, difficult it will be for you to wrap. It'll be easy for you for the 24 gauge. Okay, so I'll take it off, hold it this way, okay, just like that. And once you have the wraps, you can squish that so that's nice and, you know, consistent. You try to tuck this in. If not, you can cut it off. I can snip just a tad bit off and move the bead down. Now that we have this bead, so I'm just going to take my wire cutters and cut about, say, here. We just need to make the smaller loop. So hold it right over here, bend it at 90 degrees, reposition, make that loop. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to our wire necklace, because this is a thinner one, so this needs to go in. And before we close our loop, again I'm short a little bit, Wire, if you take a little bit longer, it's much easier to do the wrap loops, especially with the thicker gauge. See? Okay. There we go. So this is our loop right here. There's a little bit of a gap. All we can do is there we go. Now that is done, all you need to do is add this with some jump rings to the other end. We could have done it before closing this loop. We could have actually done it, but that's okay. I can just add 2 jump rings there, or even I have this bigger jump ring, thicker jump ring, 18 gauge jump ring, so I can use that one to secure this lobster claw. As I always say, we need 2 sets of pliers to open and close a jump ring. It's much more easier this way. So the other end of our necklace, add it to this loop and to the lobster claw, then close it nice and tight. Go back and forth until it reaches flush against each other. So now we have this as our closure, a custom closure, but very pretty, part of the design as well. So our necklace is done. So this is the finished necklace here. Let's keep that aside for now. Let's finish this because we have the clasp here, and then we need our crimps. I'm going to use 2 crimps instead of 1, just to be on the safer side. Actually 1 is more than enough, but if you want to make sure. So now is the time to check the length of your necklace, whether you have the pattern is nice, did you do it right and everything. And now take a crimp tube, go through the lobster claw, come back, pull that to the end. Make sure the wire always crisscrosses inside a crimp tube. So go ahead and take that wire and flatten that crimp. Now take your wire and try to squeeze in. It is not going in. The lamino is not accommodating 2 wires, so you go ahead and very carefully, okay, and snip this excess tail off as much as you can. Now push all the beads towards that side, the finished side. Okay, and now this side, cut the wire about 1 inch, and then take your crimp, and then since we have clasped this here, so we can add it here. Use your pliers to come back. Hold on 1 sec. So this side there is 2 beads, this side there is only 1 bead that we need to fix. Okay, that is 1. Need 1 more of the gold seed bead. There we go. So I added 2 of the lemon seed beads and then our crimp tube, then goes the clasp. Take your pliers, oh my god, go through this. Sorry about the background noise, my daughter is actually in a traditional music class, Carnatic music they call. So here we go. So then pull and then pull more. See that? So you hold that end and try and pull this wire nice and tight. The loop will get shortened. Always keep this in a U format. Okay, so that's nice and subtle, I guess. Then crimp, snip off the tail. We got two necklaces, two gorgeous necklaces with this box. The first one, it's a statement piece, of course. You can wear these two necklaces together or you can wear them separately. It's totally up to you. We still have a lot of beads left, but I think it has come out very pretty. I really like the way it turned out to be. I need to, you can just wear this just like that. It looks very pretty. As you guys can see, we have this custom clasp with just the 4mm purple beads, followed by this pattern here, the spray painted beads and 2 lemon seed beads with the purple bead, and then I followed this pattern on both sides up till here. Actually there is 8 of these 8mm, and then the flowers. I have 7 of the flowers and 6 of the briolette beads, separated by the daisy spaces, the purple beads, and this is the pattern. Okay, so this is the pattern I have here. I will zoom in a little bit more to show you guys what this pattern is, so you guys can see. Sorry about that. Yeah, focus. Yeah, now I really like the way this turned out to be. So let's see the other necklace. I'll put this on the side and show you guys this long necklace. So first we did the pendant with the 20 gauge wire, a purple faceted bead at the bottom, with the daisy spacer and the teardrop, and then the hibiscus flower, then the purple, and then we did the oval spray painted beads with the daisies. All are wire wrapped. This is the pattern we followed. First oval, then this elongated one, followed by the citrine nuggets and the 8mm truck bead, and then followed by the citrine nugget, and then finally once this purple bead is done, we have only half a strand in the box. So I alternated, after this elongated bead, I alternated the melon beads and the spray painted beads, and then wire wrapped here, and we made a custom clasp. I still need to fix them a little bit more. There we go, a custom made clasp with this spray painted bead, and that flows really nicely with the necklace. So this is what the necklace looks like. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. Okay, this is what it looks like when it is worn alone, but if you want to wear them together with the short necklace that we created, that will also fit in perfectly. So there we go. So this is how it will look if you are planning to wear both together. I really like the way this turned out to be. If you do like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, don't forget to hit the bell icon for notification. I do upload videos couple of times a week. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate if you guys can like, subscribe and share with your friends and family. I put a lot of effort to make these videos, to buy this. I'm not being sponsored or anything by anybody. All of the materials that I'm using in this videos that I make with the make the jewelry with is from my own pocket. So it's a lot that I put in, and I really appreciate it. If you guys can share, like, and I'm really thankful for the super thanks and everything. If you guys want to support my channel, you can do super thanks, or you can buy some charms from my Etsy shop. I will leave down the description box below the link for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye bye.